broadcastnetwork.com.
Big controversy right now after a Muslim advocacy group plans to march on our nation's capital, and they'd like to do that on September 11th of this year. 12 years since the tragic attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. The organizer of the so-called Million Muslim March.
Okay, first off, it's called the Million American March Against Fear. Now, it may originally have been called the Million Muslim March because it's simple, it's catchy, and I guess it was going to be mostly a Muslim thing because those are the people who feel that they're being demonized. And that's what a lot of this is about. As I said, I've felt bad for the Muslims who did not attack us on 9/11 but are constantly being referred to as terrorists. Most people now understand. And in fact, let's go to an article right now. As we're dealing with the New World Order saying that people were just attacked. It was a gas attack in Syria. It was a gas attack in Syria. They're not going to tell you what kind of gas. Well, you're on screen now. And let's see what we find here on screen. And hopefully some of you bikers who are planning on making the trip to D.C. will run across this on YouTube. I will put the tags in there to make sure that you do. What's that say? U.S.-backed plan to launch chemical weapon attack on Syria and blame it on Assad regime. You see, they thought that they had removed this from the internet. And I'm going to move you up here. You see that? That's the way back machine. That goes way back. And it went way back to the 29th of January, 2013. You can see right here, web.archive.org. It's just an everyday thing. The New World Order thinks that you are too stupid to find out or to figure out or to remember what they said a couple months ago. And frankly, most people don't remember this. I remember this being in the headlines. I remember covering this story last January. U.S.-backed plan to launch chemical weapon attack in Syria and blame it on Assad regime. Now, what has just happened? A chemical weapon attack in Syria. And what are they doing? Blaming it on the Assad regime. John Kerry just gave a speech about it today. Everything is going according to the script. Leaked emails from defense contractor refers to chemical weapons, saying the idea is approved by Washington. Obama issued warning to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad last month that use of chemical warfare was totally unacceptable. I mean, how sick is this? And how sick is this that you can have a nation of people who can have had this story run across the headlines and just a few months later be watching Fox News, sitting on a couch, eating potato chips, drooling on themselves, looking at video or pictures of little children dying or dead and say, oh my God, I can't believe Assad did that. We should bomb them. We should invade. We should send in tanks. We should start killing innocent people. We should overthrow the legitimate government of a foreign nation in violation of international law. Because we gassed those children. That gives us an excuse. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how the world works. And sadly, these poor Muslims can't say, involved with this march, we didn't do 9/11. We didn't take out the towers. 9/11 was an inside job. It is the job and it is the duty of non-Muslims, of Christians, of truth activists in this country to speak up for those who cannot. Silence is compliance. And if you sit there and let your government continue to blame, tarnish, trash, and persecute people who did not attack you. To verbally attack the innocent people in this nation the way they physically attack them in foreign nations, all based upon that same foundational lie. Then it won't be long before they're killing people in this country under that same lie. The drones are in the sky. Now, I'm not going to get too worked up on this broadcast, and in fact, I'm going to try and cut it short. I usually do 2 to 3 hours. Let's look at this article a little bit for those who don't want to believe this. Leaked emails have allegedly proven that White House gave the green light to a chemical weapon attack in Syria that could be blamed on Assad's regime and, in turn, spur international military action in the devastated country. This article written after the leaked emails were found, but before the gas attack was carried out. The gas attack has now been carried out. The dead people are now being strewn across your television screen. Ignorant sheeple are sitting at their home saying, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. The Muslims are horrible. The Muslims are evil. I'm going to get on my motorcycle and ride to Washington, D.C. and rev my engine so nobody can hear the Muslims. Which is no different than being a 3-year-old child and plugging your ears and going, la, 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 la. Except you're plugging everybody's ears. You're plugging their ears. And that's wrong. If you want to pretend that you're free, if you want to live and labor under the delusion that you have constitutional rights, if you want your freedom of speech respected, then you're required to respect the freedom of speech of other people. If you don't want your wife murdered, then you don't murder somebody else's wife. Don't pretend to be a free man if you're trampling over other people's rights. And if you're going to do that, don't complain when the government that controls your mind is trampling on yours. And you better not complain when they trample on your rights and us truth activists who are being called terrorists on television turn a blind eye and say, you know what? They should have listened to us 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Because if you don't join with us, and God forbid, with these Muslims who are being wrongly blamed, if you don't join with us now, the day is going to come where they're going to come after you. And we'll either already be imprisoned, already be dead, or already have taken shelter, knowing what is coming. Now again, I said I'm not going to get too worked up on this broadcast. It's hard for me to hold it back, knowing the things I know. It's hard for me to hold this back. So you've seen the article. There it is. You can Google it. U.S.-backed plan to launch chemical weapon. It might not even come up on Google because you got to go to the Wayback Machine. But I'm sure we have us horrible terrorist truth activists re-uploading this on multiple websites, mirroring it on the websites. I'm sure it's on YouTube. So look at it now. Pause the screen on YouTube. U.S.-backed plan to launch chemical weapon attack in Syria. Don't be stupid. Don't be lazy. Don't be ignorant. Go to YouTube, type it in. Look at it for yourself. This nation is declining. Not because of the Muslims. The Muslims didn't write the Patriot Act, did they? The Muslims didn't write the National Defense Authorization Act, did they? Or the National Defense, whatever it is, NDAA. They didn't write this. The Muslims can't take away your rights. It is your government controlled by the New World Order that has taken away your rights. And the icing on the cake is that it is Muslims in Libya, Muslims in Egypt, Muslims in Syria that directly oppose the New World Order. That's attacking you and you don't even know it. Why don't you try going on the internet and struggling to find the speech given by Gaddafi on the floor of the United Nations when the United States walked out? The mainstream media cameras shut off. Oh, well, you don't need to know what Gaddafi said. Well, we got to go cut to commercial. Or maybe they got to show Miley Cyrus shaking her ass on what, the VMA Awards on MTV? You don't need to hear what the leader of Iran said on the floor of the United Nations. You might learn too much. You might know too much. You might wake up. Truth activists aren't terrorists. Christ himself said, "Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" Are truth activists your enemy because we tell you what Fox and CNN doesn't want you to know, what they try to bury, they're lying about this. U.S.-backed plan to launch chemical weapon attack on Syria and blame it on Assad regime, 29 January 2013. April, May, June, July, August, 5 months later, they did it. And right now, they're on television blaming it on Assad as justification to make an excuse for invading another nation, killing innocent people. Not so you can have cheap gas to put in your car. Look at the prices. This isn't about control of oil. This isn't about gold. This is about control of people. People are the most valuable thing on the face of this earth. They want to control the people. And that includes you. And they got you well under control, don't they? Revving up your motorcycle to go ride and suppress other people's rights. You work for them. You work for the New World Order. You're doing the bidding of the people who are controlling your mind. Acting against the people who are trying to free you.